Hey guys, and welcome to episode 1. Today I'm going to go through a couple of things that are going to help with your lifting and your training. And our topic today is running shoes. So this is a fairly expensive pair of running shoes. So the Asics line, which these ones are about $250. They are the GT 3000. So they have all the bells and whistles in terms of running shoes, motion control, arch support, cushioning, all the rest of it. What I've found though over the years through reading, through research and through also myself as well, is that the more and more expensive the shoes are, the running shoes that we're using, the more and more support they're giving us, the less and less work that our feet are actually doing. So instead of our feet being strong, being able to do the things that they used to be doing, these types of shoes are actually providing like a plastic cast for our feet. Okay, so what that means is that instead of our foot being able to do the work and the muscles in our feet being nice and strong, the muscles in our feet stop working because the shoe's doing so much work for us. So that opens us up for a heap of problems. This is in weight training can open you up for valgus knee from having flat feet. So you've probably heard that term before. And the prescription, I suppose, from specialists and through, especially physios that prescribe orthotics, is to buy better shoes or to get custom orthotics, which do cost a lot of money. And in the end, don't really solve the problem anyway. We just end up spending more and more money on buying better shoes with this and that to help support our foot as our foot gets weaker and weaker. So in turn, we might get short-term results or short-term relief. Long term, we're just going to be fighting a constant battle of pouring in heaps of money into these things and different types of support without actually fixing the underlying issues. So, as well as forking out heaps of money and that being a pain in the ass, we're also lacking performance as well because our foot's not able to be as stable. So, so I'll run through the Asics shoe and a couple of the things that come with this that are stopping our foot from moving. One, the whole thing is fairly rigid. It doesn't really move. So when we push the toes up towards the ankle, there's not really much movement in there. The rubber sole and the foam through the bottom is fairly stiff and doesn't allow our foot to go through full plantar flexion and full dorsal flexion. So pointing all the way forwards and all the way back. What this means is that every time we wear these shoes, so whether we're wearing them all day during the day, whether we're wearing them to sport, our foot's actually not allowed to do what it wants to do. So our ankle is not able to flex as well as what it really should be. So what this means is that our running technique, for those of you that are involved in running sports or sports that involve lots of running, so like rugby, football, and those types of sports, what you're going to find is that your running technique is going to be hindered, and there's going to be a lot more impact going through your body with one of these shoes. Reason being is that because your ankle can't flex, it's not able to absorb the impact as you're running and as you're moving. So what this means is that your foot is constantly hammering into the floor as it's going instead of being able to flex at the toes. So it's more a lot of heel striking and smashing the foot into the floor constantly, which can lead to, especially shin splints is a big one, tight calves, and also that can lead up the kinetic chain. So a lot more problems further up. So lower back pain is one as well. Because there's a lot more impact on the floor, there's going to be a lot more impact going through your body because your ankles aren't able to absorb it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is as well, usually, especially with the more expensive shoes, they have some sort of arch support. So some sort of support or hard foam or plastic, in this case a bit of both, on the arch. And what this is doing is helping to hold the arches in your feet up. Most people's, or a fair amount of people's arches will actually collapse. So pretend this is your feet and we have the arches on the inside of your feet, just before your big toe. Most people's are actually fairly flat, so they're fairly close to the floor. They're actually, when the muscles in your feet are working, they're actually supposed to be risen up, which is going to put your foot in a more optimal position for stability, for running, and for being able to absorb impact. So because most people's feet are flat, because we do wear shoes a lot of the time, whether this is at work, to sport, we're using enclosed shoes which are like a cast on our feet. So what they do especially the high-end shoes, is they put support on the inside. So to stop your feet from collapsing on the inside and continually rolling in, they boost all this up with hard foam, so it's a lot harder for your feet to be able to roll in. But what this means is that the muscles in your feet actually aren't working as well as what they are, as well as what they should be, because the shoe's doing all the work for you. So that's another important point with these types of shoes. The third point is the cushioning as well. So for weightlifting, I see this one a lot, especially with beginners or people that are new to lifting and training, squatting and deadlifting in their runners. So the other thing that these shoes come with is a layer of cushioning at the bottom. So if you were to run in your bare feet and you're not used to it, you'd find that your feet and your calves will be fairly sore. And the reason for this is because they're not used to being used. They're used to the shoe doing all the work. So because the majority of people are wearing shoes most of the day and aren't too active, so tradesmen are wearing boots, which is very much a plastic cast as well, not allowing your foot to move. But even if you're working in the office, your foot's not moving most of the day, so the musculature in your feet is not very active. So the first thing that we want to work on with our, in terms of the cushioning in the shoe, is that these come with a lot of padding in here. So anytime we're running, this padding helps to cushion the impact as we're moving along. When we use these then to weightlift, to shift heavy loads, what happens is this foam is then compressed. So the shoes are made for body weight and to absorb impact as we're running. Then when we start to squat 100, 150, 200 kilos, starting to get stronger with your deadlifts and lifting heavy weight, the foam in the bottom here compresses and moves up and down. So that might not be too much of an issue if you're just doing body weight exercises, but as soon as you start to use weight training and weight-bearing activities with these shoes, what happens is this becomes an unstable surface for your body. So imagine squatting, imagine trying to lift with your feet having, sounds like I live on a freeway, but I don't. The main thing with using these for weightlifting is that the bottom will compress and create an unstable surface. So those of you who are familiar with weightlifting, been lifting for a while, it's all about creating as much stability as possible between you, your body and the floor. These shoes are not going to help you do that. And what they're going to do is they're going to provide a spongy surface. Okay? This means that your feet are going to be unstable, more likely for your feet to collapse in, more likely for your knees to collapse in. So when you're squatting, more likely for your knees to cave in because that surface is unstable. Which means you're also not going to be as strong and you're going to be more likely for injury as well. So, what do we want to do? How do we want to fix it? What we want to do is working on either training in bare feet, but something that's a little bit more realistic is buying a shoe or getting a shoe which is a little bit more minimalist and not as spongy. So I've got one here, which is the Nike Metcon, which is the one I use at the moment. So what this one, how this is different from the Asics is the level of support underneath. So you'll notice on the inside here there's no hard foam, it's all the same density foam as we go along. It's fairly hard at the back, so even though there is foam there, it is very, very hard and fairly solid. So it's going to give us a lot more support than what our Asics are. So this is the softness of the Asics, which is fairly soft. So you can see there I can squash those in. With this one here, very limited movement. So it's going to be much, much better for weightlifting and for training. The other thing that a minimalist type shoe is going to help with our training is going to give us more flexibility for our ankle to go through as much range of motion as possible. So you can see with this one folds right in, so almost over the top of itself. So it's going to give us fairly good ankle range when we have the shoe on. Whereas compared to the Asics, you see I have to put a lot of effort in to be able to bend that back. It doesn't go back quite as fast. So by using the minimalist shoe, we're going to help to strengthen up our feet. We're also going to help to position our body better while we're training. So we're going to be stronger, we're going to be able to perform better, and we're also going to reduce the chance of injury. So that's something for you to think about with your shoes. I hope you liked the first episode of our show. If you have any questions or comments about the show, feel free to put them below.